Samantha, a 32-year-old pharmacist, was worried about her leaky roof when she received a knock on her door that would teach her valuable lessons about contractor fraud. She had no idea the friendly contractor was running an elaborate scheme that would cost her thousands of dollars. Samantha had been dealing with water stains on her bedroom ceiling for weeks and knew she needed professional help. She had been putting off getting estimates because of her busy work schedule at the pharmacy, where she managed medication dispensing for hundreds of patients daily. The man at her door wore a clean uniform with Elite Home Repairs embroidered on his shirt and carried a professional-looking clipboard. He introduced himself as Steve Wilson and explained that his crew had just finished a roofing job down the street when they noticed her obvious roof damage. "Ma'am, I can see from here that you've got serious problems with your shingles," Steve said with apparent expertise and concern. "If you don't get this fixed soon, you're looking at major water damage that could cost you tens of thousands in repairs. Lucky for you, we've got materials left over from our last job." Steve offered to inspect her roof immediately and provide a free estimate. Within 15 minutes, he returned with alarming photos on his phone showing what appeared to be extensive damage, including loose shingles, damaged flashing, and rotting wood that he claimed could cause the roof to collapse. "Ms. Peterson, this is much worse than I initially thought," Steve explained with apparent urgency and professional knowledge. "Normally a job like this would run you $12,000, but since we're already mobilized in your neighborhood and have extra materials, I can do the whole thing for $6,000 if you sign today." Steve emphasized that his discount was only available immediately because his crew was scheduled to move to another city the following week. He claimed that waiting for other estimates would mean paying much higher prices and risking further damage during the upcoming storm season. Samantha felt overwhelmed by the urgency and the severity of the damage Steve described. As a healthcare professional, she understood the importance of preventing problems before they became serious, and the photos seemed to show legitimate structural issues that needed immediate attention. "I appreciate the offer, but I need some time to think about this and maybe get a second opinion," Samantha explained to Steve. "This is a big expense, and I want to make sure I'm making the right decision for my home." Steve's demeanor immediately changed when Samantha hesitated. He became more aggressive and insistent, claiming that delaying the repairs would result in much more expensive problems and that his generous discount wouldn't be available if she waited. "Ma'am, I'm trying to save you money here, but I can't hold this pricing forever," Steve insisted with apparent frustration and time pressure. "Other contractors are going to charge you double what I'm asking, and they won't be able to start work for weeks. Your roof could suffer catastrophic failure waiting for other estimates." Steve also claimed that he needed a substantial down payment to secure the materials and schedule his crew, requesting $3,000 immediately to hold the job and guarantee the discounted pricing he had offered. Samantha felt uncomfortable with the pressure and the demand for immediate payment. Her professional experience had taught her to be cautious about making major decisions under pressure, and something about Steve's tactics reminded her of high-pressure sales situations she had encountered before. After Steve left with her promise to think about it, Samantha decided to research Elite Home Repairs online. She was surprised to discover that no such company existed in any business directories or licensing databases for her state. Samantha contacted her state's contractor licensing board to verify Steve Wilson's credentials and learned that no contractor by that name was licensed to perform roofing work in her area. She also discovered that legitimate roofing contractors are required to provide detailed written estimates and proper licensing documentation. Samantha realized that Steve was running a contractor fraud scheme designed to collect large upfront payments for work that would either never be completed or would be performed with substandard materials and workmanship that could actually damage her home. Samantha contacted Elite Home Repairs using the phone number on the business card Steve had left, but the number was disconnected. She then reported the contractor fraud to her state's Attorney General office, the Better Business Bureau, and local law enforcement. The authorities explained that door-to-door contractor scams are particularly common after storms or during peak home improvement seasons when homeowners are most concerned about property maintenance and may be more susceptible to high-pressure sales tactics. Samantha learned that legitimate contractors provide detailed written estimates, maintain proper licensing and insurance, and allow customers reasonable time to make decisions without applying pressure for immediate commitments or upfront payments. Samantha also discovered that legitimate roofing assessments should include detailed documentation of problems, multiple repair options, and transparent pricing that doesn't depend on artificial urgency or neighborhood discounts that expire within hours. The experience taught Samantha to always verify contractor credentials through official licensing boards, obtain multiple written estimates for major home repairs, and be suspicious of any contractor who appears unannounced offering immediate discounts for work that must be started immediately. Samantha now educates other homeowners about contractor fraud and emphasizes the importance of taking time to research contractors thoroughly, verify their credentials and insurance, and never make large payments before work begins, regardless of how professional contractors appear or how urgent they claim the situation is. Marcus, a 29-year-old social worker, was struggling with student loan payments when he received a phone call that would test his understanding of educational financing and teach him valuable lessons about student loan relief scams. The caller claimed to represent a government program that could eliminate his debt entirely. Marcus had accumulated $38,000 in student loan debt during his undergraduate and graduate social work programs and was finding it difficult to manage the monthly payments while working at a nonprofit organization that helped homeless families find permanent housing. Marcus had been making his required payments through the federal student loan system, but was always interested in learning about legitimate forgiveness programs that might help reduce his debt burden so he could focus more on his important community work. The caller, who identified herself as Agent Sarah Collins from the Department of Education Student Relief Division, claimed that Marcus qualified for immediate and complete loan forgiveness through a new federal program designed specifically for social workers and other public service professionals. Mr. Thompson, I'm calling to inform you that you've been pre-approved for the Emergency Public Service Debt Elimination Program, Collins said with apparent government authority and program knowledge. This program was created to help essential workers like social workers who are struggling with student loan debt while serving their communities. Collins claimed that the program could eliminate Marcus's entire $38,000 student loan debt within 30 days, but that he needed to act quickly because funding for the program was limited and enrollment would close soon for his qualification category. Mr. Thompson, this program has already helped over 25,000 public service workers eliminate their student loan debt completely, but we can only help a limited number of social workers before our funding allocation is exhausted. Collins continued with apparent program statistics and urgency. Collins explained that the program required a processing fee of $1,200 to cover administrative costs and legal documentation for the debt elimination process, but that this small fee would result in the complete forgiveness of his much larger student loan debt. Marcus was excited about the possibility of eliminating his student loan debt, which would significantly improve his financial situation and allow him to focus more fully on his social work career without the constant stress of monthly loan payments. However, Marcus was also cautious because his work in social services had made him aware of various scams that targeted people in difficult financial situations, and something about the unsolicited phone call and upfront fee requirement made him suspicious. This sounds like it could be really helpful, but I want to verify this program with the Department of Education before I make any payments, Marcus explained to Collins. Can you provide me with official documentation about this program and a way to confirm it through official government channels? Collins became evasive when Marcus requested verification, claiming that the program was too new to appear on standard Department of Education websites and that he needed to enroll through their authorized processing center to access official program documentation. Mr. Thompson, this program is administered through specialized contractors authorized by the Department of Education, and the standard government websites haven't been updated yet with information about this new initiative, Collins explained with apparent bureaucratic knowledge and processing procedures. Collins also claimed that Marcus's qualification window was closing rapidly and that he needed to submit his processing fee within 24 hours to secure his place in the program before it reached capacity limits. Marcus felt pressured by the tight deadline, but decided to research the program independently before making any financial commitments. His professional experience had taught him to verify important information through official sources before making major decisions. Marcus searched online for information about the Emergency Public Service Debt Elimination Program, but found no references to such a program on any official government websites or legitimate news sources reporting on new student loan relief initiatives. Marcus contacted the Department of Education's Student Aid Information Center directly and spoke with an official representative who confirmed that no such debt elimination program existed and that the Department of Education does not charge processing fees for legitimate loan forgiveness programs. Marcus also learned from the Department of Education that legitimate federal student loan forgiveness programs are administered directly through official loan servicers and are available without upfront fees through established application processes that don't involve third-party processing companies. Marcus realized that Agent Sarah Collins was fraudulently claiming to represent a government program and attempting to collect processing fees for student loan relief services that didn't exist and wouldn't provide any actual debt forgiveness. Marcus contacted the phone number Collins had provided to confront her about the fraudulent program, but Collins continued to insist that the program was legitimate and pressured him to submit his processing fee immediately to avoid missing the enrollment deadline. Marcus reported the student loan relief fraud to the Federal Trade Commission, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and the Department of Education's fraud hotline. He learned that fake student loan relief scams target struggling borrowers with promises of debt elimination in exchange for upfront processing fees. The authorities explained that legitimate federal student loan forgiveness programs are free to apply for and are administered through official loan servicers, not third-party companies that claim exclusive access to government programs or charge processing fees for enrollment. Marcus learned that borrowers should always verify student loan relief programs through official Department of Education resources and should be suspicious of any company that contacts them unsolicited with promises of debt elimination in exchange for upfront payments. The experience taught Marcus to research all financial assistance offers thoroughly through official government channels and to educate his clients about similar scams that target vulnerable populations with promises of debt relief or other financial assistance. Marcus now shares information about student loan relief scams with other social workers and emphasizes the importance of using only official federal resources to explore legitimate loan forgiveness and repayment assistance programs. Rebecca, a 46-year-old real estate agent, was concerned about her elderly father's legal affairs when she received a phone call that would test her knowledge of legal services and teach her valuable lessons about estate planning fraud. The caller claimed her father needed immediate legal protection from financial exploitation. Rebecca's father, Harold, was 82 years old and lived independently in his own home, managing his finances and daily activities without assistance. Rebecca stayed in regular contact with her father and helped him with technology and transportation when needed, but he remained mentally sharp and capable. Rebecca had been encouraging her father to update his will and estate planning documents, but Harold had been reluctant to spend money on legal services and kept postponing meetings with attorneys that Rebecca had researched for him. The caller, who identified himself as attorney Michael Anderson from Senior Legal Protection Services, claimed that Harold had been referred to their firm by his physician for urgent estate planning services to protect his assets from financial exploitation and scammers. Ms. Williams, your father Harold is at serious risk for financial exploitation because of his age and the substantial assets he has accumulated over his lifetime, Anderson said with apparent legal expertise and elder law knowledge. We specialize in protecting seniors from scammers and unscrupulous family members who might try to take advantage of elderly individuals. Anderson claimed that Harold qualified for their Emergency Asset Protection Program, which would establish protective trusts and legal safeguards to prevent financial abuse while ensuring that his assets would be properly distributed according to his wishes after his passing. Ms. Williams, seniors with significant assets like your father are prime targets for financial exploitation, and without proper legal protection, he could lose his life savings to scammers or even family members who might pressure him into making financial decisions that aren't in his best interests. Anderson continued with apparent senior protection expertise. Anderson explained that their comprehensive estate protection program included trust establishment, power of attorney safeguards, and ongoing legal monitoring services for a total cost of $6,500, which he claimed was significantly less than traditional estate planning attorneys would charge for similar services. Rebecca was concerned about protecting her father's assets and ensuring that his estate planning was properly handled, but she was also suspicious about the unsolicited phone call and the claim that Harold had been referred by his physician. "I want to discuss this with my father before we make any decisions about legal services," Rebecca explained to Anderson. "Can you provide me with information about your firm's credentials and references from other families you've helped with estate planning?" Anderson became evasive when Rebecca requested verification of his credentials and references, claiming that client confidentiality prevented him from sharing specific information about other families, but insisting that their firm had helped hundreds of seniors protect their assets. "Ms. Williams, time is critical in these situations because financial predators specifically target seniors, and every day that your father remains unprotected increases his risk of becoming a victim of financial exploitation," Anderson insisted with apparent urgency and protective concern. Anderson also claimed that their asset protection program was only available to seniors who met specific criteria and that Harold's qualification status would expire if he didn't enroll within 48 hours of their initial contact. Rebecca felt pressured by Anderson's claims about time sensitivity and her father's supposed vulnerability, but her professional experience in real estate had taught her to verify important claims before making financial commitments. Rebecca decided to contact Harold directly to ask whether his physician had referred him to any legal services and whether he had expressed interest in immediate estate planning assistance to anyone in the medical community. Harold was surprised by Rebecca's questions and confirmed that his physician had never discussed estate planning with him and had certainly not referred him to any legal services. Harold also confirmed that he had not requested any information about asset protection services. Rebecca then researched senior legal protection services online and discovered that the firm was not listed in her state's Bar Association directory and had no verifiable business presence or professional credentials in any legal databases. Rebecca contacted her state's Bar Association to verify attorney Michael Anderson's credentials and learned that no attorney by that name was licensed to practice law in their state. She also learned that legitimate estate planning attorneys are required to be licensed and to follow strict ethical guidelines for client solicitation. Rebecca realized that Senior Legal Protection Services was fraudulently claiming to be a law firm and targeting families with elderly relatives by creating false urgency about asset protection needs and financial exploitation risks. Rebecca contacted Senior Legal Protection Services to inform them that she had verified their fraudulent claims, but Anderson continued to insist that Harold needed immediate legal protection and pressured Rebecca to authorize the estate planning services. Rebecca reported the estate planning fraud to her state's Bar Association, the Attorney General's office, and the Federal Trade Commission. She learned that fake legal service scams often target adult children who are concerned about protecting elderly parents from financial exploitation. The authorities explained that legitimate estate planning attorneys provide detailed information about their credentials and services and never pressure families into immediate enrollment in expensive asset protection programs through high-pressure phone sales tactics. Rebecca learned that families should always verify attorney credentials through official state bar associations and should be suspicious of any legal services that are offered through unsolicited phone calls claiming urgent protection needs for elderly family members. The experience taught Rebecca to help her father work directly with properly licensed estate planning attorneys who could provide legitimate legal services without creating artificial urgency or pressuring families into expensive protection programs. Rebecca now educates other families about estate planning fraud and emphasizes the importance of working with credentialed attorneys who follow ethical guidelines and provide transparent information about legal services and costs. Anthony, a 37-year-old restaurant owner, was dealing with declining business revenues when he received a phone call that would test his understanding of business consulting and teach him valuable lessons about consulting fraud. The caller promised to dramatically increase his restaurant's profits through proven marketing strategies. Anthony owned a small Italian restaurant that had been struggling with reduced customer traffic since several chain restaurants opened nearby. He had been considering hiring a business consultant to help develop new marketing strategies and improve his operations to compete more effectively. Anthony had been researching consulting options online, but was overwhelmed by the number of companies offering business improvement services and was unsure about how to evaluate their qualifications and potential effectiveness for his specific situation. The caller, who identified himself as James Mitchell from Restaurant Success Partners, claimed that his company specialized exclusively in helping independent restaurants increase their profitability through proven marketing and operational strategies. Mr. Rodriguez, we've been monitoring local restaurant markets, and we've identified your establishment as having significant untapped potential for revenue growth, Mitchell said with apparent market analysis expertise and business knowledge. Our restaurant optimization program has helped over 400 independent restaurants increase their profits by an average of 45% within 6 months. Mitchell claimed that Restaurant Success Partners had developed proprietary marketing techniques and operational systems specifically designed for small restaurants, and that their success rate was much higher than general business consultants who didn't specialize in the food service industry. Mr. Rodriguez, most business consultants don't understand the unique challenges of restaurant operations, but our team consists of former restaurant owners and industry experts who know exactly what strategies work in today's competitive market. Mitchell continued with apparent industry expertise. Mitchell explained that their comprehensive restaurant optimization program included customized marketing campaigns, menu engineering, staff training protocols, and cost reduction strategies specifically tailored to Anthony's restaurant for a total investment of $9,500. Anthony was interested in professional help to improve his business performance, but he was concerned about the substantial cost and wanted to research Mitchell's company and compare their services with other consulting options before making such a significant financial commitment. This sounds promising, but I'd like to research your company and speak with some of your previous clients before making a decision, Anthony explained to Mitchell. Can you provide references from other restaurant owners who have used your optimization program successfully? Mitchell became evasive when Anthony requested client references, claiming that confidentiality agreements prevented him from sharing contact information for other restaurants, but insisting that Anthony could trust their track record based on their years of experience and proven results. Mr. Rodriguez, our clients value their privacy and don't want competitors knowing about the specific strategies that have made them successful, Mitchell explained with apparent competitive protection concerns. However, I can tell you that we've worked with several Italian restaurants in markets similar to yours with excellent results. Mitchell also claimed that their program enrollment was limited to maintain quality and that Anthony needed to secure his spot within 48 hours because they were approaching capacity limits for their current consulting cycle. Anthony felt pressured by the enrollment deadline, but decided to research Restaurant Success Partners independently before making any financial commitments to business consulting services. Anthony searched online for Restaurant Success Partners and found no legitimate business presence, customer reviews, or professional credentials for the company. He also could not find any evidence of James Mitchell's claimed expertise in restaurant consulting. Anthony contacted his local restaurant association to inquire about reputable business consultants and learned that several restaurant owners had been contacted by the same company with identical promises and high-pressure sales tactics. Anthony also spoke with other restaurant owners in his area who confirmed that they had received similar calls from Restaurant Success Partners but had not found any verifiable information about the company's credentials or track record. Anthony realized that Restaurant Success Partners was fraudulently claiming business consulting expertise and attempting to collect consulting fees for services that would likely never be provided or would not deliver the promised results. Anthony contacted Restaurant Success Partners to decline their services, but Mitchell continued to pressure him with warnings about missed opportunities and claims that his restaurant would continue struggling without professional consulting assistance. Anthony reported the business consulting fraud to the Better Business Bureau, his state's Attorney General office, and the Federal Trade Commission. He learned that fake consulting scams often target struggling small business owners who are looking for professional help to improve their operations. The authorities explained that legitimate business consultants provide detailed information about their qualifications, methods, and client references and never pressure potential clients into immediate enrollment through high-pressure sales tactics or artificial deadlines. Anthony learned that business owners should thoroughly research consulting firms, verify their credentials and track records, and obtain detailed written proposals before making any financial commitments to professional consulting services. The experience taught Anthony to be suspicious of unsolicited consulting offers that promise unrealistic results and to work only with properly credentialed consultants who can provide verifiable references and transparent information about their qualifications. Anthony now educates other small business owners about consulting fraud and emphasizes the importance of researching consultants thoroughly through industry associations and professional organizations before investing in business improvement services. Sandra, a 51-year-old dental office manager, was planning her retirement when she received a phone call that would test her knowledge of financial planning and teach her valuable lessons about investment advisory fraud. The caller promised to maximize her retirement savings through exclusive high-return investment opportunities. Sandra had been diligently saving for retirement through her employer's 401k plan and had accumulated substantial savings over her career managing dental practice operations. She worked with a legitimate financial advisor, but was always interested in learning about investment strategies that could help her reach her retirement goals. Sandra had been particularly concerned about inflation and market volatility affecting her retirement savings and was open to exploring additional investment options that might provide better returns than her current conservative portfolio allocation. The caller, who identified himself as investment advisor Robert Chin from Elite Wealth Management, claimed that Sandra qualified for their exclusive high-net-worth investor program based on her retirement savings balance and professional status. Ms. Taylor, based on your financial profile, you qualify for our private wealth acceleration program that has been helping our clients achieve investment returns of 22 to 28% annually with minimal risk exposure, Chen said with apparent investment expertise and exclusive program access. Chen claimed that Elite Wealth Management worked only with successful professionals like healthcare managers and had access to institutional investment opportunities that weren't available through traditional financial advisors or investment companies. Ms. Taylor, most financial advisors are limited to conventional investment products that can't compete with the institutional-grade investments available through our private wealth platform. Chen continued with apparent exclusive access knowledge and investment superiority claims. Chen explained that their investment program required a minimum commitment of $75,000 but offered guaranteed returns that would significantly accelerate Sandra's retirement timeline while providing downside protection that traditional investments couldn't match. Sandra was intrigued by the high return promises, but was also cautious about investment opportunities that seemed too good to be true. Her experience managing dental practice finances had taught her that legitimate high-return investments typically involved corresponding high levels of risk. I'm interested in learning more, but I want to research your firm and review detailed information about these investment opportunities, Sandra explained to Chen. Can you provide documentation about your firm's registration and the specific investments you're recommending? Chen became evasive when Sandra requested documentation, claiming that the exclusive nature of their investment opportunities required confidentiality agreements and investor qualification verification before detailed information could be shared. Ms. Taylor, our institutional investment partnerships require strict confidentiality protections, and we can only share detailed investment information with qualified investors who have completed our accreditation process, Chen explained with apparent regulatory compliance and exclusivity requirements. Chen also claimed that investment capacity in their program was limited and that Sandra needed to secure her position within 72 hours before the investment opportunity closed to new participants for the current quarter. Sandra felt pressured by the investment deadline but decided to research Elite Wealth Management and verify Chen's credentials before making any financial commitments to investment advisory services. Sandra searched online for Elite Wealth Management and discovered that the company was not registered as an investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission or her state's securities regulatory agency. She also could not verify Robert Chen's credentials as a licensed investment advisor. Sandra contacted the SEC's Investor Protection Hotline to inquire about the investment opportunities Chen had described and learned that guaranteed high-return investments with minimal risk are typically indicators of investment fraud rather than legitimate investment opportunities. Sandra also consulted with her existing financial advisor, who confirmed that no legitimate investment strategy could guarantee the returns Chen had promised without involving substantial risk that Chen had not disclosed during their conversation. Sandra realized that Elite Wealth Management was fraudulently claiming investment advisory credentials and promising fake investment opportunities to collect money from investors that would likely be stolen rather than invested as promised. Sandra contacted Elite Wealth Management to decline their investment program, but Chen continued to pressure her with claims about missed opportunities and warnings that traditional investments wouldn't provide adequate retirement income. Sandra reported the investment advisory fraud to the Securities and Exchange Commission, her state's securities regulatory agency, and the Federal Trade Commission. She learned that fake investment advisory scams often target successful professionals with substantial retirement savings. The authorities explained that legitimate investment advisors must be properly registered and licensed and must provide detailed disclosure documentation about investment risks, their qualifications, and compensation structures before accepting client investments. Sandra learned that investors should always verify investment advisor credentials through official regulatory agencies and should be suspicious of any investment opportunities that promise guaranteed high returns with minimal risk disclosure. The experience taught Sandra to research all investment opportunities thoroughly through official regulatory channels and to work only with properly licensed investment professionals who provide complete transparency about investment risks and their professional qualifications. Sandra now educates other healthcare professionals about investment advisory fraud and emphasizes the importance of verifying advisor credentials and being skeptical of exclusive investment opportunities that seem too good to be true. Michael, a 33-year-old software developer, was preparing to buy his first home when he received a phone call that would test his understanding of mortgage services and teach him valuable lessons about mortgage assistance fraud. The caller promised to secure better loan terms through a special first-time homebuyer program. Michael had been pre-approved for a conventional mortgage but was concerned about rising interest rates and was interested in exploring any legitimate programs that might help reduce his monthly payments or down payment requirements. Michael had been researching first-time homebuyer programs through official government websites, but found the information complex and wanted to ensure he wasn't missing any beneficial programs that could help make homeownership more affordable. The caller, who identified herself as mortgage specialist Jennifer Foster from Federal Home Loan Solutions, claimed that Michael qualified for an exclusive first-time buyer program that could reduce his mortgage rate by 1.5% and eliminate his down payment requirement entirely. Mr. Davis, congratulations on your upcoming home purchase. You've been selected for our priority first-time buyer program based on your credit profile and employment in the technology sector, Foster said with apparent program authority and qualification assessment. Foster claimed that the program was funded through federal housing initiatives and administered through authorized mortgage assistance companies that had special relationships with government, housing agencies, and major lenders. Mr. Davis, this program is only available to qualified professionals in high-demand fields like technology, and we can guarantee approval for benefits that most mortgage brokers can't access through conventional channels. Foster continued with apparent exclusive access and professional qualification requirements. Foster explained that the program required a processing fee of $2,800 to cover government filing costs and lender coordination services, but that this fee would be more than offset by the substantial savings from reduced interest rates and eliminated down payment requirements. Michael was excited about the potential mortgage savings, but was also suspicious about the upfront processing fee. His research into legitimate first-time homebuyer programs had indicated that most government assistance programs didn't require upfront fees from borrowers. This sounds interesting, but I want to verify this program with HUD and my mortgage broker before making any payments, Michael explained to Foster. Can you provide official documentation about this federal program and how I can confirm the details independently? Foster became evasive when Michael requested program verification, claiming that the program was administered through authorized third-party processors and that government agencies would refer him back to companies like Federal Home Loan Solutions for program enrollment. Mr. Davis, federal housing programs are complex and are administered through specialized contractors who have the expertise and authorization to handle the application processes that government agencies don't have the capacity to manage directly, Foster explained with apparent bureaucratic complexity and processing authority. Foster also claimed that program funding was limited and that Michael needed to submit his processing fee within 24 hours to secure his benefits before the program reached its participation limits for the current funding cycle. Michael felt pressured by the tight deadline, but decided to research the program independently through official government channels before making any financial commitments to mortgage assistance services. Michael contacted the Department of Housing and Urban Development directly and spoke with a representative who confirmed that no such first-time buyer program existed and that legitimate government housing assistance programs don't require upfront processing fees from borrowers. Michael also contacted his mortgage broker, who confirmed that Federal Home Loan Solutions was not an authorized mortgage assistance company and that the benefits Foster had promised were not available through any legitimate government or lender programs. Michael's mortgage broker also explained that legitimate first-time homebuyer assistance programs are administered directly through approved lenders and government agencies and never require third-party processing companies or upfront fees for program enrollment. Michael realized that Federal Home Loan Solutions was fraudulently claiming to administer government housing programs and attempting to collect processing fees for mortgage assistance services that didn't exist and wouldn't provide any actual benefits. Michael contacted Federal Home Loan Solutions to confront Foster about the fraudulent program claims, but she continued to insist that the program was legitimate and pressured him to submit his processing fee immediately to avoid losing his qualification. Michael reported the mortgage assistance fraud to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Federal Trade Commission, and the Department of Housing and Urban Development's fraud hotline. He learned that fake mortgage assistance scams often target first-time homebuyers who are unfamiliar with legitimate government housing programs. The authorities explained that legitimate first-time homebuyer assistance programs are administered through official government agencies and approved lenders and never require upfront processing fees or enrollment through unauthorized third-party companies. Michael learned that homebuyers should research all mortgage assistance programs through official government resources and approved lenders and should be suspicious of any company that charges upfront fees for access to government housing benefits. The experience taught Michael to verify all mortgage assistance offers through official housing agencies and to work only with licensed mortgage professionals who can provide transparent information about legitimate homebuyer programs and assistance options. Michael now educates other first-time homebuyers about mortgage assistance fraud and emphasizes the importance of using official government resources to research legitimate housing assistance programs while avoiding companies that promise exclusive access to government benefits. Jessica, a 28-year-old marketing coordinator, was struggling with credit card debt when she received a phone call that would test her understanding of debt management services and teach her valuable lessons about debt settlement fraud. The caller promised to eliminate most of her debt through professional creditor negotiations. Jessica had accumulated approximately $15,000 in credit card debt over several years and was finding it increasingly difficult to manage the minimum payments while covering her living expenses and student loan obligations on her entry-level marketing salary. Jessica had been researching debt management options, including debt consolidation loans and credit counseling services, but she was overwhelmed by the different approaches and wasn't sure which option would be most effective for her situation. The caller, who identified himself as Debt Resolution Specialist Mark Stevens from National Debt Relief Solutions, claimed that Jessica was an ideal candidate for their debt elimination program that could reduce her total debt by 75% through professional settlement negotiations. Ms. Parker, based on your debt levels and income situation, you qualify for our advanced debt settlement program that has successfully eliminated over $50 million in consumer debt through our proven negotiation strategies, Stevens said with apparent debt settlement expertise and program statistics. Stevens claimed that National Debt Relief Solutions had established relationships with all major credit card companies and could negotiate settlement agreements that individual consumers couldn't achieve on their own because of their specialized knowledge and negotiation experience. Ms. Parker, credit card companies are willing to accept significant reductions in debt amounts when they work with professional debt settlement companies like ours because they know we have the expertise to structure agreements that benefit both creditors and consumers. Stevens continued with apparent creditor relationship knowledge. Stevens explained that Jessica would need to stop making payments to her credit card companies and instead make monthly payments to National Debt Relief Solutions, which would accumulate funds for lump sum settlement offers to her creditors. Jessica was excited about the possibility of significantly reducing her debt burden, but was concerned about the impact of stopping her credit card payments and wanted to understand the potential consequences for her credit score and financial standing. I'm concerned about how stopping my payments will affect my credit rating and whether this program will actually eliminate my debts as promised, Jessica explained to Stevens. Can you guarantee that this approach will work and that my credit won't be permanently damaged? Stevens claimed that temporary credit score reduction was a normal part of debt settlement programs, but that Jessica's credit would recover much faster after debt settlement than if she continued making minimum payments that would never eliminate her debt balances. Ms. Parker, debt settlement does cause temporary credit score reduction, but this is much better than the long-term damage of carrying high debt balances and making only minimum payments for years or decades, Stevens explained with apparent credit repair knowledge and long-term benefit claims. Stevens also claimed that their program included credit repair services that would help Jessica rebuild her credit score after the debt settlement process was completed and that most clients saw significant credit improvement within 12 to 18 months of completing the program. Jessica felt uncertain about the program risks, but was attracted to the possibility of eliminating most of her debt relatively quickly compared to the years it would take to pay off her balances through minimum payments. Jessica decided to research National Debt Relief Solutions and debt settlement regulations before making any commitments to stop her credit card payments or enroll in debt settlement services. Jessica discovered that legitimate debt settlement companies are required to provide detailed disclosures about program risks and cannot guarantee specific settlement results or credit score outcomes. She also learned that National Debt Relief Solutions had numerous consumer complaints about program failures and unexpected fees. Jessica contacted the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to learn about debt settlement regulations and discovered that legitimate debt settlement companies cannot collect fees until they successfully settle debts and must provide clear warnings about potential credit damage and program failure rates. Jessica also consulted with a nonprofit credit counseling agency, which explained that debt settlement programs often fail to settle all debts as promised and can result in worse financial situations than making minimum payments or using debt management plans. Jessica realized that National Debt Relief Solutions was using misleading claims about settlement success rates and credit recovery timelines and was not providing the required disclosures about program risks and potential negative outcomes. Jessica contacted National Debt Relief Solutions to decline their services, but Stevens continued to pressure her with warnings about the impossibility of paying off her debts through minimum payments and claims that their program was her only realistic option for debt relief. Jessica reported the debt settlement fraud to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Federal Trade Commission, and her state's Attorney General office. She learned that fake debt settlement companies often target consumers who are struggling with credit card debt and looking for quick solutions to their financial problems. The authorities explained that legitimate debt settlement involves significant risks and should only be considered after exploring other debt management options such as credit counseling, debt management plans, and debt consolidation loans that don't require stopping payments to creditors. Jessica learned that consumers should research debt settlement companies thoroughly and understand that debt settlement programs can severely damage credit scores and may not successfully resolve all debts as promised by marketing claims. The experience taught Jessica to be skeptical of debt settlement companies that make unrealistic promises about debt elimination and to work with nonprofit credit counseling agencies that provide free guidance about legitimate debt management options. Jessica now educates others about debt settlement fraud and emphasizes the importance of exploring all legitimate debt management options through nonprofit credit counseling before considering debt settlement programs that involve stopping payments to creditors. Thomas, a 39-year-old automotive technician, was worried about his father's situation when he received a phone call that would test his understanding of legal services and teach him valuable lessons about legal representation fraud. The caller claimed his father was facing serious criminal charges and needed immediate legal representation. Thomas's father, William, was 68 years old and lived quietly in a senior community where he participated in activities and maintained friendships with other residents. Thomas spoke with his father weekly and visited regularly, and William had never mentioned any legal problems or contact with law enforcement. Thomas had been helping his father manage some financial affairs and medical appointments, but William remained mentally sharp and independent in his daily activities and decision-making without any history of legal or financial problems. The caller, who identified himself as attorney Richard Moore from Criminal Defense Associates, claimed that William had been charged with check fraud and financial crimes and needed immediate legal representation to avoid serious penalties, including potential imprisonment. Mr. Anderson, your father William has been charged with multiple felony counts related to check fraud and identity theft, and he needs immediate professional legal representation to protect his rights and avoid serious criminal penalties, Moore said with apparent criminal law expertise and urgent legal authority. Moore claimed that Williams' case was particularly serious because financial crimes against seniors often resulted in enhanced penalties from judges who wanted to send strong messages about protecting elderly victims from financial exploitation. Mr. Anderson, senior financial fraud cases receive special attention from prosecutors and judges, and without proper legal representation, your father could face substantial fines and incarceration that would be devastating for someone his age. Moore continued with apparent criminal sentencing knowledge and elder law expertise. Moore explained that Criminal Defense Associates specialized in defending seniors against financial crime charges and had successfully reduced penalties for hundreds of elderly defendants, but that immediate legal representation was essential to protect Williams' rights and develop an effective defense strategy. Thomas was alarmed by the severity of the charges Moore described and wanted to help his father immediately, but he was also confused because William had never mentioned any problems with law enforcement or criminal charges during their regular conversations. I need to speak with my father about this situation before making any decisions about legal representation, Thomas explained to Moore. Can you provide me with case numbers or court information so I can verify these charges and understand what's happening? Moore became evasive when Thomas requested case information, claiming that criminal case details were confidential until legal representation was established, and that Thomas needed to retain their services immediately to access information about Williams' charges and legal situation. Mr. Anderson, due to attorney-client privilege and criminal procedure rules, I cannot share specific case details until your father formally retains our legal services, Moore explained with apparent legal procedure knowledge and confidentiality requirements. However, I can tell you that time is critical, and delay could seriously harm your father's defense options. Moore also claimed that Criminal Defense Associates required an immediate retainer fee of $7,500 to begin working on Williams' case, and that additional delays would result in reduced options for plea negotiations and defense strategies. Thomas felt pressured by Moore's urgency claims, but decided to contact his father directly and verify whether William was actually facing any criminal charges or had been contacted by law enforcement about legal problems. Thomas called William immediately and learned that his father had no knowledge of any criminal charges and had never been contacted by police, prosecutors, or court officials about any legal matters involving check fraud or financial crimes. William was confused and concerned about Moore's claims, but confirmed that he had not written any bad checks, had not been involved in any financial crimes, and had not authorized anyone to represent him in any legal proceedings. Thomas also contacted his father's local police department and courthouse to verify whether any criminal charges had been filed against William and learned that no such charges existed in any law enforcement or court databases. Thomas realized that Criminal Defense Associates was fraudulently claiming that his father was facing criminal charges and attempting to collect retainer fees for legal representation that wasn't needed because no criminal case actually existed. Thomas contacted Criminal Defense Associates to confront Moore about the fraudulent charges, but Moore continued to insist that William was facing serious legal problems and pressured Thomas to pay the retainer fee immediately to protect his father's legal rights. Thomas reported the legal representation fraud to his state's bar association, the Attorney General's office, and local law enforcement agencies. He learned that fake legal service scams often target families by claiming that elderly relatives are facing serious legal problems that require immediate expensive legal representation. The authorities explained that legitimate criminal defense attorneys provide clear information about actual criminal charges and court proceedings and never pressure families into paying retainer fees for legal representation of non-existent criminal cases. Thomas learned that families should always verify criminal charges through official law enforcement and court channels before hiring attorneys or making payments for legal services that claim to address urgent legal problems. The experience taught Thomas to be suspicious of unsolicited legal service offers and to verify all legal claims through official court and law enforcement resources before making commitments to professional legal representation. Thomas now educates other families about legal representation fraud and emphasizes the importance of verifying all legal claims through official channels and working only with properly licensed attorneys for legitimate legal matters that can be independently confirmed. Catherine, a 43-year-old high school counselor, was concerned about her son's college prospects when she received a phone call that would test her understanding of educational services and teach her valuable lessons about college preparation fraud. The caller promised to guarantee her son's admission to prestigious universities. Catherine's son Jake was a junior in high school with solid grades and extracurricular activities, but his standardized test scores were average, and Catherine was worried about his ability to gain admission to competitive colleges in an increasingly difficult admissions environment. Catherine had been researching college preparation services and admissions consulting, but was overwhelmed by the different approaches and uncertain about which services would actually help Jake improve his college prospects without wasting money on ineffective programs. The caller, who identified herself as Dr. Lisa Morgan from Elite College Admissions Advisors, claimed that Catherine's son had been identified as having exceptional potential for admission to top-tier universities through their proprietary student assessment and preparation system. Mrs. Thompson, based on our analysis of high-achieving students in your area, your son Jake has been selected for our Ivy League preparation program that guarantees admission to at least 3 top-ranked universities, Morgan said with apparent admissions expertise and guarantee authority. Morgan claimed that Elite College Admissions Advisors had insider knowledge of college admissions processes and special relationships with admissions officers at prestigious universities that allowed them to position students more effectively than traditional college counselors or preparation services. Mrs. Thompson, college admissions has become extremely competitive, and students need specialized guidance from consultants who understand exactly what admissions officers are looking for and have the connections to advocate directly with university decision-makers. Morgan continued with apparent admissions process expertise. Morgan explained that their comprehensive preparation program included personalized test preparation, essay writing coaching, extracurricular activity planning, and direct admissions advocacy services for a total investment of $12,500 that would guarantee Jake's acceptance to multiple prestigious universities. Catherine was interested in helping Jake maximize his college opportunities, but was skeptical about any service that could guarantee admission results, especially given the competitive and unpredictable nature of college admissions that she understood from her work as a high school counselor. I'm interested in college preparation services, but I don't understand how any company can guarantee admission to specific universities, Catherine explained to Morgan. Can you provide documentation about your success rates and references from families whose children have been admitted to top universities through your program? Morgan became evasive when Catherine requested verification of their guarantees and client references, claiming that their methods were proprietary and that client confidentiality prevented sharing specific information about other families' college admissions outcomes. Mrs. Thompson, our admission strategies are highly confidential because they give our students significant competitive advantages, and we cannot share specific details about our methods or client results because this would compromise our effectiveness, Morgan explained with apparent competitive protection and confidentiality concerns. Morgan also claimed that enrollment in their Ivy League preparation program was limited to maintain exclusivity and that Catherine needed to secure Jake's position within 48 hours before the program reached capacity for the current academic year. Catherine felt pressured by the enrollment deadline, but decided to research Elite College Admissions Advisors and verify their claims about guaranteed admissions results before making any financial commitments to college preparation services. Catherine searched online for elite college admissions advisors and discovered that the company was not accredited by any legitimate educational organizations and had no verifiable track record of college admissions success or client testimonials from actual families. Catherine also consulted with college admissions officers at several universities who confirmed that no legitimate admissions consulting service can guarantee admission results and that claims of special relationships with admissions offices are typically fraudulent. Catherine's research also revealed that legitimate college preparation services focus on helping students improve their qualifications and application materials rather than promising admission guarantees that are impossible to fulfill given the competitive and holistic nature of college admissions processes. Catherine realized that elite college admissions advisors was fraudulently claiming admissions expertise and making impossible guarantees about college admission results to collect consulting fees for services that couldn't deliver the promised outcomes. Catherine contacted elite college admissions advisors to decline their services, but Morgan continued to pressure her with warnings about Jake's limited college prospects without their specialized preparation and advocacy services. Catherine reported the college preparation fraud to her state's Attorney General office, the Federal Trade Commission, and her school district's college counseling department. She learned that fake college preparation scams often target anxious parents who are willing to pay substantial amounts for any service that promises to improve their children's college admission chances. The authorities explained that legitimate college preparation services provide realistic guidance about admissions processes and focus on helping students improve their qualifications rather than promising guaranteed admission results that are impossible to deliver. Catherine learned that families should research college preparation services through legitimate educational organizations and should be suspicious of any consulting service that promises guaranteed admission results or claims to have special relationships with university admissions offices. The experience taught Catherine to help other families focus on legitimate educational resources and properly accredited college counseling services that provide realistic guidance about college preparation and admissions processes. Catherine now educates other parents about college preparation fraud and emphasizes the importance of working with accredited educational services while being skeptical of companies that make unrealistic promises about guaranteed college admission results. Brandon, a 32-year-old physical therapist, received phone calls about tax problems that would test his understanding of tax law and teach him valuable lessons about tax relief fraud. The caller claimed he owed substantial back taxes and faced immediate enforcement action from the IRS. Brandon had always filed his taxes properly using reputable tax preparation software and had never received any notices from the IRS about unpaid taxes, audit issues, or other tax problems that would require professional tax resolution services. Brandon maintained organized financial records and had copies of all his tax returns and supporting documentation, so he was confident that he had properly reported his income and paid all required taxes through payroll deductions and quarterly estimated payments. The caller, who identified himself as Agent Peterson from Federal Tax Relief Center, claimed that Brandon owed $22,000 in back taxes due to filing errors and unreported income, and that the IRS was preparing to garnish his wages and seize his assets if he didn't resolve the tax debt immediately. Mr. Garcia, our records show that you have substantial unpaid federal taxes dating back 3 years that must be resolved immediately before the IRS begins aggressive enforcement action against your wages and bank accounts, Peterson said with apparent IRS authority and tax debt knowledge. Peterson claimed that Federal Tax Relief Center was authorized by the IRS to negotiate tax settlements and that they had successfully helped thousands of taxpayers eliminate their tax debts through specialized relief programs that weren't available to taxpayers who tried to work directly with the IRS. Mr. Garcia, the IRS prefers to work with authorized tax relief companies like ours because we understand the complex procedures and documentation required for successful tax debt resolution. Peterson continued with apparent IRS relationship and procedural expertise. Peterson explained that their tax settlement program could reduce Brandon's tax debt by up to 80% through hardship qualification and offering compromise negotiations, but that immediate action was required to prevent wage garnishment and asset seizure that would begin within days. Brandon was confused and concerned because he was certain that he didn't owe any back taxes and had never received any official communications from the IRS about tax problems, audits, or enforcement actions against him. I don't believe I owe any back taxes, and I've never received any notices from the IRS about tax problems, Brandon explained to Peterson. Can you provide me with specific information about which tax years are involved and what filing errors supposedly created this tax debt? Peterson became evasive when Brandon requested specific information about his supposed tax debt, claiming that detailed tax information could only be shared after Brandon enrolled in their tax relief program and signed authorization forms required by IRS privacy regulations. Mr. Garcia, due to IRS taxpayer privacy regulations, I cannot share specific details about your tax debt until you formally authorize our representation through enrollment in our tax relief program, Peterson explained with apparent IRS regulation knowledge and privacy protection procedures. Peterson also claimed that the IRS enforcement timeline was accelerated for Brandon's case, and that he had only 48 hours to enroll in their tax relief program before automatic wage garnishment and bank account levies would be implemented. Brandon felt concerned about potential IRS enforcement action, but decided to verify his tax status independently through official IRS channels before making any payments or commitments to tax relief services. Brandon contacted the IRS directly using the official phone number from their website, and spoke with an IRS representative who confirmed that his tax accounts were current and in good standing with no unpaid balances, pending audits, or enforcement actions. Brandon also accessed his IRS account online through the official IRS website and verified that all his tax returns had been properly processed and that he had no outstanding tax obligations or compliance issues with any tax years. Brandon's research also revealed that Federal Tax Relief Center was not listed as an authorized tax resolution firm with the IRS, and that the company had numerous consumer complaints about collecting fees for tax resolution services that were never provided or were ineffective. Brandon realized that Federal Tax Relief Center was fraudulently claiming IRS authorization and attempting to collect tax relief fees for services that weren't needed because no tax debt actually existed and the company couldn't provide legitimate tax resolution assistance. Brandon contacted Federal Tax Relief Center to confront Peterson about the fraudulent tax debt claims, but Peterson continued to insist that Brandon owed back taxes and pressured him to enroll in their settlement program immediately to avoid IRS enforcement action. Brandon reported the tax relief fraud to the IRS Fraud Hotline, the Federal Trade Commission, and his state's Attorney General office. He learned that fake tax relief scams often target taxpayers with false claims about IRS enforcement action to create urgency for unnecessary tax resolution services. The authorities explained that legitimate tax resolution services are provided by licensed tax professionals and that taxpayers can always verify their tax status directly with the IRS through official channels before engaging any tax relief company. Brandon learned that taxpayers should always verify tax debt claims directly with the IRS and should be suspicious of any tax relief company that demands immediate payment or claims to have exclusive authorization to negotiate with the IRS on behalf of taxpayers. The experience taught Brandon to be skeptical of unsolicited tax relief offers and to use only properly licensed tax professionals for legitimate tax problems that are verified through official IRS communication and documentation. Brandon now educates others about tax relief fraud and emphasizes the importance of verifying all tax debt claims through official IRS resources and working only with credentialed tax professionals for legitimate tax resolution needs. Daniel, a 44-year-old construction supervisor, was concerned about his credit score when he received a phone call that would test his understanding of credit repair services and teach him valuable lessons about credit restoration fraud. The caller promised to eliminate negative items from his credit report within 30 days. Daniel had experienced some financial difficulties several years earlier during a period of reduced construction work and had missed some credit card and loan payments that were still affecting his credit score and his ability to qualify for favorable interest rates on financing. Daniel had been working steadily for the past 2 years and had been making all his payments on time, but the negative items from his previous financial difficulties remained on his credit reports and were preventing him from qualifying for better mortgage rates for a potential home purchase. The caller, who identified herself as credit specialist Susan Miller from Advanced Credit Solutions, claimed that Daniel qualified for their express credit repair program that could eliminate all negative items from his credit report within 30 days using advanced techniques that other credit repair companies couldn't access. Mr. Wilson, we can remove all negative items from your credit report within 30 days using proprietary credit repair methods that have a 97% success rate for completely eliminating charge-offs, late payments, and other derogatory items, Miller said with apparent credit repair expertise and technique superiority. Miller claimed that Advanced Credit Solutions had developed exclusive relationships with credit bureaus and creditors that allowed them to remove negative items that other credit repair companies couldn't eliminate, even if the negative items were accurate and legitimately reported. Mr. Wilson, most credit repair companies use outdated dispute methods that don't work with today's automated credit reporting systems. But our advanced techniques can remove legitimate negative items that other companies can't touch. Miller continued with apparent technical expertise and competitive advantage claims. Miller explained that their express credit repair program cost $4,200 upfront, but was guaranteed to raise Daniel's credit score by at least 120 points within 30 days, or he would receive a complete refund of all fees paid. Daniel was interested in improving his credit score quickly, but was skeptical about claims that legitimate negative items could be removed from credit reports, and that specific credit score increases could be guaranteed within such a short time frame. I want to improve my credit, but I don't understand how you can remove accurate negative information or guarantee specific score increases, Daniel explained to Miller. Can you explain exactly how your methods work and provide documentation about your success rates? Miller became evasive when Daniel requested specific information about their credit repair methods, claiming that their techniques were proprietary trade secrets that couldn't be shared due to competitive protection and intellectual property concerns. Mr. Wilson, our credit repair methods are proprietary techniques that we've developed through years of research and legal analysis, and we cannot share specific details because other companies would copy our methods, Miller explained with apparent trade secret protection and competitive advantage requirements. Miller also claimed that their express program was only available to a limited number of clients each month and that Daniel needed to enroll within 24 hours to secure his position before the program reached capacity limits. Daniel felt pressured by the enrollment deadline but decided to research credit repair laws and advanced credit solutions before making any payments for credit restoration services. Daniel's research revealed that legitimate credit repair companies cannot remove accurate negative items from credit reports and cannot guarantee specific credit score increases within predetermined timeframes, regardless of their claimed techniques or relationships. Daniel also discovered that Advanced Credit Solutions had numerous consumer complaints about collecting upfront fees and then failing to deliver promised credit repair results, and that the company was not accredited by any legitimate credit repair organizations. Daniel contacted the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to learn about credit repair regulations and discovered that consumers have the right to dispute credit report errors themselves for free, and that most credit repair services provide little benefit beyond what consumers can accomplish independently. Daniel realized that Advanced Credit Solutions was making fraudulent promises about credit repair results that were impossible to achieve legally and was collecting upfront fees for services that wouldn't provide the guaranteed benefits. Daniel contacted Advanced Credit Solutions to decline their services, but Miller continued to pressure him with warnings about the difficulty of repairing credit independently and claims that their program was his only realistic option for rapid credit improvement. Daniel reported the credit repair fraud to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Federal Trade Commission, and his state's Attorney General office. He learned that fake credit repair companies often target consumers with poor credit who are desperate for quick solutions to credit problems. The authorities explained that legitimate credit repair involves disputing inaccurate information on credit reports through established legal processes and that no company can legally remove accurate negative items or guarantee specific credit score improvements. Daniel learned that consumers can dispute credit report errors themselves for free and should be suspicious of any credit repair company that promises to remove accurate negative items or guarantees specific credit score increases within unrealistic timeframes. The experience taught Daniel to focus on legitimate credit improvement strategies, such as making payments on time and reducing debt balances rather than paying for credit repair services that make unrealistic promises about rapid credit restoration. Daniel now educates other consumers about credit repair fraud and emphasizes the importance of understanding credit repair laws and using legitimate methods for gradually improving credit scores over time through responsible financial management.